The cartoon that predicted the pandemic. Most people think predictions come from scientists, prophets, or researchers. But sometimes the most unsettling warnings come from the last place you'd expect. A cartoon aired years before the world changed forever. There is a cartoon episode that shockingly predicted the pandemic long before it happened. When viewers revisited it after 2020, they couldn't believe what they were watching. The storyline didn't just feel familiar, it felt prophetic. In the episode, a mysterious virus suddenly begins spreading across the world with eerie accuracy. It moves fast, breaking through borders, reaching cities that were never prepared for something so contagious. Characters panic as news anchors describe an outbreak no one understands. Reporters struggle to stay composed on screen, while information changes faster than they can broadcast it. That alone mirrors the early confusion of our own pandemic, when updates arrived and no one seemed to know what was true. But the similarities don't stop there. The cartoon shows the virus traveling through neighborhoods, shutting down daily life almost exactly like the events we lived through. Shops close, schools empty, people isolate in their homes, unsure whether the world they knew would ever return to normal. It's unsettling because the scenes don't feel exaggerated or comedic. They feel uncannily realistic. And what makes it even stranger is what happens next. In the story, scientists scramble to find a cure. They rush through labs, studying samples, arguing over solutions, and racing against time. The cartoon highlights the uncertainty, the frustration, and the hope that science brings when everything feels out of control. When people rewatched this scene after 2020, it hit uncomfortably close to home. As clips resurfaced online, viewers were stunned by how many details matched real headlines almost frame for frame. The cartoon wasn't vague. It wasn't loosely similar, it was specific. And that specificity made people wonder, how could a simple animated show paint the future so clearly? Some believe the writers were simply observant. They understood how fragile global health really was. Experts had been warning for decades that a major outbreak was inevitable. Maybe the writers listened. Maybe they used fiction to explore a scenario the world wasn't ready to talk about. Others think the prediction was too close to be coincidence. They argue that the parallels are so detailed that luck alone can't explain it. Whenever a show seems to predict real events, theories multiply. People look for hidden clues, secret meanings, or coded messages. And whether or not those theories are true, one thing is certain: this cartoon episode captured something deep, something unsettling, something people felt long before they understood it. But here's the part most viewers overlook. The cartoon didn't just show a virus, it showed how fear spreads faster than facts. It showed how uncertainty becomes contagious in its own way. Characters whispered rumors to each other. They misinterpreted information. They panicked at the slightest hint of danger. The writers seemed to understand the psychology of crisis long before the world witnessed it firsthand. The episode highlighted how confusion makes people turn to rumors instead of answers. It showed how communities break down when trust fades. People began blaming each other, doubting leaders, and searching for someone unknown to hold responsible. These scenes mirrored the emotional reality of the real pandemic just as much as the scientific one. But the cartoon also showed something powerful, something that mirrored the best parts of humanity. As the story continued, people slowly learned to help one another. Neighbors shared supplies, friends checked in on each other, strangers found ways to connect even when they couldn't meet face to face. Those moments felt just as familiar as the fear. It also showed families reconnecting when the world slowed down. Parents spent more time with their children. People rediscovered hobbies they had forgotten. Communities found creative ways to stay together despite barriers that kept them apart. In a strange way, fiction captured the emotional journey we would all experience years later. Even in chaos, humanity always finds a way to adapt. The cartoon emphasized that resilience isn't something we discover. It's something we build day by day, challenge by challenge, crisis by crisis. When people watched the episode again after 2020, the message hit harder than ever. That's when many realized the cartoon wasn't just predicting a pandemic. It was offering something much more important: a warning. A warning to stay prepared. A warning to stay informed. A warning to stay united when the world feels divided. The episode's deeper message wasn't about fear. It was about strength. It was about learning from hardship instead of running from it. Maybe the real message wasn't about a future crisis. Maybe it was about resilience. Maybe it was about how people respond when the world tests them. And maybe the strangest predictions are the ones meant to teach us the most. So the next time you watch a cartoon and see something oddly familiar, remember this: sometimes storytellers see patterns long before the rest of us do. Sometimes fiction reflects reality a little too clearly. And sometimes the warnings we need most come wrapped in humor, animation, and imagination? Leave a comment below. Share, like, follow, and subscribe for more.